Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Explosion at a fast food restaurant in New Kingston. It's nomination day in Northeast St. Anne. And later in sports, coach hails resilient reggae boys after win over Honduras. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry Simpson. Here are the details. We begin with news of an explosion at a fast food restaurant in New Kingston. TVJ News understands that a gas leak may have been the cause at the Burger King location. It's further understood that 6 employees have been hospitalized. However, it is unclear the extent of the injuries. The incident happened sometime after 10 a.m. Currently, police and firefighters are on the scene. We'll have more on this developing story in subsequent newscasts. The search for 18-year-old Rajon Melbourne has ended. His body was found this morning after being swept away during heavy rainfall yesterday in a gully in Waltham Park, St. Andrew.
Side I go with some rubbish there. After I just dig up, and I say, alright, they must have magic man move no man carry some my grab it there. So I say, I'm after there saying so when we move now and go around on the next side now, we say him float up. So the little rubbish will move, make him float up so somebody else can see him.
It's understood that Melbourne was assisting a woman to remove pigs from the gully when they were washed away. The woman was subsequently rescued, but Mr. Melbourne was not located. To news now on the political scene. It's nomination day in Northeast St. Anne. And as you'll hear in this report from Dwayne Anderson, despite the People's National Party not contending the September 30 by-election, the JLP's Matthew Sumuda will not be the only one on the ballot. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton views as poor taste and wrong the response provided by MBJ Airports Limited on its handling of the most recent medical emergency at the Sangster International Airport. More details in this report.
Stop attempting to shift responsibility. That reaction from Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton after MBJ Reports Limited gave its version of events which led to the death of a passenger. In a release Tuesday, MBJ said mere minutes after 71-year-old Leroy Smith collapsed for 13 minutes, the Emergency Medical Service arm of the fire brigade and subsequently the Cornwall Regional Hospital were both called without success. It said, contact was then made with Hospitan's ambulance service, which arrived within 12 minutes. But Dr. Tufton insists MBJ should take responsibility.
I think it's a very poor taste that the management and operators of the Donald Saxer Airport have chosen to send a release out, which is attempting to shift responsibility that they have for their clients, their customers, because of this very unfortunate and tragic incident. It's in poor taste because they're attempting, it seems, to absolve themselves from responsibility to have an effective emergency response facility. It's in poor taste because it is insensitive to the grieving and the suffering that the deceased family members would be encountering at this point in time.
He says MBJ should take the appropriate steps to correct the situation, as any international airport must have emergency health services to attend to any eventuality.
The truth is, any international airport needs to have on-site an emergency response service. This particular case, there was a private health facility that was contracted to provide that service. And I think if that is the case, then all the elements of that service should have been there, including, frankly speaking, an ambulance at the location.
It is why he says his ministry will continue to dialogue with the Minister of Transport to prevent any further occurrences.
As a government, myself as the Minister of Health and the Minister with responsibility for transport, Beryl, have been talking and need to continue the dialogue to respectfully, particularly to the grieving family members, try to bring some resolution to this issue in a way that does not see a reoccurrence where the issues around emergency response seems to have had gaps.
Raquel Porter, TVJ News.
After hours of protests by customers who reported receiving unusually high electricity bills last month, the Jamaica Public Service has confirmed a reduction this billing cycle. According to the JPS, September bills will show a 34% reduction in fuel charge, moving from $32.17 to $21.19. The JPS says the fuel charge is a significant part of the electricity bill, but it varies each month based on factors such as the type of fuel used to generate electricity and the overall demand for electricity during a billing cycle. Labour and Social Security Minister Beryl Charles Jr. says over 13,000 families have benefited from the over $1 billion allocated for distribution to victims of Hurricane Beryl. He was speaking at Tuesday's post-cabinet press briefing. More in this report.
Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security established the $1 billion Rebuild Jamaica program.
The government of Jamaica allocated more than $1 billion to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for the distribution of grant support to beneficiaries whose homes were damaged or destroyed by the hurricane. And we have been assessing across the country. When I stood here first, the number at that time was 8,700. The number of assessments done now is beyond 13,500.
Labour and Social Security Minister Beryl Charles Jr. explained that over 100 checks have already been distributed.
100% of those checks have been distributed either to the parish offices or to the areas where they're to be collected. And of that amount, more than 50% have either been delivered or collected by a beneficiary already.
He's urging residents to verify their documents in order to receive their grants on time.
We have been going through a process now of re-verification, reaching out to persons by phone, calling members of the community on their street, talking to the MPs, to the councillors, going back into the community. And so far, we have been able to at least validate of the 13,500, a little more than 7,000.
Additionally, some residents will receive further support from the United Nations World Food Programme in the next 2 weeks. This is an ongoing effort to support those affected by the recent hurricane and to aid in the recovery and rebuilding process. Dakinsky Robinson, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More local stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Lindvern Wright, is urging the government to broaden its focus beyond STEM programs to include music and art. He emphasized that given the high-quality music and art produced in Jamaica, it is crucial to prioritize teachers in the respective fields.
We keep talking about STEM. I really believe that one of the things that we're going to suffer from a whole lot. I mean, I give you another perspective. We talk about STEM shortage, but where Jamaica has a competitive advantage is in music. We have a competitive advantage in music, right? Our artists are good, and our artists are good. But we have a shortage of art teachers. We have a shortage of music teachers. And look at the kind of bang for the buck we get with music in Jamaica. I hear very few people talking about the shortage of music teachers. Many schools can't find that.
Mr. Wright also highlighted the importance of improving not just teachers' pay, but their overall conditions of service.
Treat teachers well, not just with pay, but with the conditions of the service, right? And the conditions of service include so many things. A condition of service, yes, it includes money because a teacher wants to live, but that's not the number one thing. I think the camaraderie people have when they go to work. What's happening between you and your colleague? What's happening between you and parents? What's happening between you and principal? Is it that we're abusing teachers too much as a country? Is it that we are diminishing our sense of what authority should mean on behalf of a child who is growing up? Teachers are frustrated with that kind of thing.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Tourist attraction Dolphin Cove realized a lower profit of $746,000 for its second quarter ended June 2024. That's 35% less than the $1.15 million in post-tax earnings for the similar period ended June 2023. Dolphin Cove also posted lower revenues of $3.87 million for the 3 months, compared with $4.42 million last year. This was linked to reduced inflows from the cruise segment of the business after what the company has described as an early end to the April peak season. There were also fewer arrivals in Ochias due to the closure of the port, which was damaged in February during an incident involving a cruise vessel. Further afield, top executives at the 155-year-old Campbell's Soup Company plan to change the iconic firm's name to the Campbell's Company. Chief Executive Mark Klaus said the move aims to better reflect Campbell's growing product line, which currently also includes sauces, snacks and beverages. Investors are set to vote on the name change at the company's annual meeting in November. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report. In this evening's health report, we look at spinal cord injuries.
So if you have an otherwise healthy 30-year-old, construction worker slowly becoming weaker and weaker in the legs to where they are having difficulties walking, that's a strong indication that there might be a problem with the spinal cord. Could be a spinal tumor. More commonly, we do see things like disc herniations and things compressing the spine. But spinal tumors oftentimes can be slow growing and very insidious, very, very subtle.
That's the health report in primetime news at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Wear protective gear in high-risk activities. Practice safe sports and recreational activities. Maintain a healthy lifestyle and avoid risky behaviors such as driving under the influence. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the UK government is rolling out a new electronic travel authorization scheme starting November 27, 2024 for eligible non-Europeans and extending to Europeans from March 5, 2025. Travellers will need an ETA or an e-visa to enter the UK, with ETAs costing €10 and valid for multiple trips over 2 years. The move aims to enhance border security and streamline immigration. Those with physical immigration documents like biometric residence permits (BRPs) must transition to e-visas by the end of 2024. On the international scene, Tuesday night's debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump quickly became contentious. Harris criticized Trump for lacking a plan, while Trump attacked Harris for being associated with President Biden's record. They clashed on immigration, reproductive rights, and their differing visions for the United States. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Nakinsky Robinson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.